And thank you all for coming today, especially you, Kristen. That was incredibly brave of you. My questions are to Mr. Fassenmeyer. I find it interesting that you say that people are being lied to about cannabis with some of the reports that come out, considering that virtually everything you've told us today is anecdotal and not scientifically proven, as with the marijuana's gateway to opioids. Are you familiar with the report, the Smart Approaches to Marijuana, SAM report?
I'm familiar with quite a few of the reports. Can you be a little more specific?
This is the one, Lessons Learned from Marijuana Legislation in 4 United States and D.C.
Yeah, I believe I've gone over that, yeah.
It's interesting because I've gone over it also. This is a document that was circulated by some senators who went down and met with, I guess it was Attorney General Sessions. Within this document, it covered a variety of areas, but I have to tell you that I've gone through the whole document and picked out those areas, and quite frankly, they don't stand up to any kind of scientific criteria. Perhaps you could tell me how much of your funding in Canada is done by the United States organization SAM?
Almost none. We work
What's
independently.
almost none? That's sort of anecdotal.
I wouldn't know the exact amount. It's a different division than myself, but I do know our funding comes strictly from ourselves and the work we've done, and money is coming both out of my pocket and from other members in Smart Approach to Marijuana Canada. It doesn't really come from the United States.
You're
if anything does, it's I wouldn't have a specific amount.
You're a nonprofit. You're a nonprofit, correct? You're a nonprofit organization. So there must be documentation with regards to funding that we could probably find out without a lot of trouble. Would
I
that be
suppose
fair?
I don't see how this is relevant to the conversation.
Well, it's relevant to the conversation because one of the problems we're dealing with in the Senate now is foreign entities influencing Canadian legislation. I just was asking about that. I'll give you another example. For instance, in your report you say that dispensaries, not that we are sure whether it be dispensaries or not, increase crime in neighborhoods. The real difficulty with that is that if you took a single study, which was basically anecdotal, but if you went and actually looked at a scientific study, in fact, it says when they shut down the hundreds of dispensaries in Los Angeles, crime went up, not down. And in fact, in the areas where there were dispensaries, they would find that the incidence of crime had dropped. What are your thoughts on this apparent contradiction?
What I would point out with the dispensaries is really the placement. It does, in a sense, draw.
Look, I'm asking you a question about the criminalization. That you state that criminal activity increases when you have a dispensary. And I'm telling you that there's a report, and you can look it up, it's Chang and Johnson, conducted in 2017, that in fact it decreases in the areas where they're allowed to remain open.
Are both those studies in the United States?
Yes, they are.
Thank you. Okay, so one thing I want to point out is if you look at placement of dispensaries in the United States, they usually target areas like liquor stores and a lot of cigarette areas. In Canada and U.S. do the same thing. They target minority groups. When I was working with Will Jones from the United States portion as well, he mentioned that, and that's a key point when it comes to legalization as well. The retail stores can be targeting those areas. Now, driving up crime and everything, that's not really a topic I've focused on greatly. My main focus with Smart Approach to Marijuana and more focusing on the youth portion is about the harm done to the youth in Canada in regards to marijuana legalization.
Well, you should maybe try and get rid of that report then, because it's not helping your cause at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I've got to move on.